Donald Trump says he has made up his mind about a vice presidential running mate, but has not told that person yet. At a campaign stop in Philadelphia, Trump said to reporters that his selection is known only to him and that the person will be among a group of top surrogates who join him in Atlanta for the presidential debate. One person who clearly seems out of the running is South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem.
Let me ask you about some of our reporting that shows there are 3 names now on Donald Trump's shortlist to serve as his vice presidential pick. Yours is not one of them right now. Are you being vetted? Have you received the paperwork?
The only person who knows who the vice president's going to be is Donald Trump.
Have you received the paperwork, though?
No, I haven't received any paperwork. No, I haven't. I've had conversations with the president, and I know that he is the only one who will be making the decisions on who will be his vice president.
So Kristi Noem has not received any paperwork or background information to fill out and has not submitted anything to be vetted. Ouch. It is a sharp fall from grace for Noem, who was considered just 6 months ago to be a top Trump vice presidential contender. Noem has consistently supported Donald Trump, embraced his fabrications about fraud in the 2020 election, and talked up lawfare claims amidst his criminal prosecutions. But Noem's chances seemed to fall apart recently when she published a book that detailed, among other things, her killing years ago of one of her dogs.
You wrote in your recent book, No Going Back, about shooting your dog, Cricket. Of course, the blowback was intense there. Do you think that sharing that anecdote, whether fairly or unfairly, cost you a shot at being his vice president?
You know, I would say that was a story from 20 years ago about me protecting my children from a vicious animal. So, we've covered that, and any mom in those situations, when you have an animal that's viciously killing livestock and attacking people, it's a tough decision. The reason it's in my book is because that book is filled with challenging times and hard decisions. And it's a story, but I think many Americans will be able to read and to learn how they can get engaged with their government again.
The question was about the political impact of killing your dog, and Noem dodged and tried to make a point about engaging government. That exchange underscores some of the lingering concerns that the Trump campaign has reportedly developed about Noem. She seems incapable of keeping negative stories from getting worse. And in a political campaign, part of the strategy involves containing the inevitable bad press. There are a variety of tactics that one can use to limit any damage. A politician can apologize and take full responsibility for a mistake, or turn that mistake into a joke, or leverage the damage to hammer the media. Noem has not successfully done any of that with the dog murder anecdote, and she continues to get tripped up over other blunders in her book, including the false claim that she once met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
In the first release of your book, you wrote, I remember when I met with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. There was no evidence that meeting happened, so how did it make it into your book, Governor?
I'm not going to talk about that.
You're not going to talk about how it made it in your book?
I took that line out of my book, and I'm not going to talk about it.
I guess my question is, you wrote the book, though, so why was that line ever in your book if it didn't happen?
I wrote the book, and I hope people will read it. It's a good book about how the American citizen can get involved in their government again, and what they can do, and how the most powerful person in government is them. It's the people who show up, who get engaged, and the stories of what they can do to take this country back, and how Donald Trump's policies work for the American people.
And understood. Then, just to put it to bed once and for all, did you or did you not meet with Kim Jong-un?
I am not going to talk about this.
Wouldn't it be why is that such a difficult one to say publicly?
Because I've taken that line out of the book, and I'm not going to discuss it.
Okay, but I guess the question is because you wrote it in the book, people just wanted to know whether that was an accurate or an inaccurate statement.
Ouch. That was ugly. And by standing in the proverbial no man's land and not saying, that was a mistake, or it was a miscommunication, or I really spoke with him by phone and there was a mix-up, or whatever, Noem took what could have been a brief exchange and turned it into something longer and even more awkward. The ability to turn lemons into lemonade, especially with the media, is reportedly a key value in Trump world, and Noem just doesn't seem to possess the confidence or charisma. So, she's not even being vetted for vice president. The final 3 are reportedly North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, and Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Vance and Rubio a few years ago sharply criticized Donald Trump, but their willingness over the past year to promote and praise Trump, as well as the Trump confidence that the senators know how to effectively dismiss their previous Trump criticism, have landed J.D. Vance and Rubio on the short list. The 2 senators and Governor Burgum will each be at the Atlanta debate. But a final selection will be made public soon, says Trump. And all Kristi Noem will be able to do is sit back and ponder what might have been. By the way, Donald Trump's son, Eric Trump, is struggling these days with basic math and melting down.
The more they do this, the more the American people see how kind of persecuted and ostracized. And
on Fox News, Eric Trump insisted his father's criminal convictions are helping the Trump presidential campaign.
I think that's why my father has done so incredibly well, and I think that's why some of these inner cities are embracing him to the extent that they are.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.